What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Death at a Funeral, the 2010 remake. I'd seen the original Death at a Funeral, a UK film directed by Frank Oz, came out in 2007, about a family at a funeral, a bunch of people from the family coming into town that hasn't seen each other anymore. Kind of, a family type of a film, but it is a dark comedy. And within this film, there is a surprise guest that shows up in both versions of the movie, which I don't know if this is the first time it's ever been done in a remake, which remakes are all over the place now. But Peter Dinklage plays this special guest in the original as well as the new one, the remake. But so I never watched the original's hilarious. This one, I mean, it's the same. They didn't change the structure of the story, which is the best part of this movie. Like the movie, the story is really fun and really good. Like really good characters that are kind of forced to interact with each other. Some crazy things kind of happen. Like one of the characters accidentally gets dosed with a hallucinogen, so they kind of act crazy at wrong moments. But so I was happy to see in the remake. It had been a while. I had no desire to see it when it came out. It only came out 3 years after the original. And it's, with so many remakes, they're doing a lot of remakes where the genders are flipped, where it's just females instead of males, kind of like mildly like Booksmart is not exactly the female version of Superbad. It's not like beat for beat a remake of Superbad, but it has that kind of similar age range, kind of similar kind of heart, similar type of a story. Outcasts kind of trying to have go big before high school's over. Where this is more of a direct remake, more of like the Ghostbusters becoming women, but in this one it's all black people. Versus, the UK version, of course, was all pasty white people. Although there are a couple whiteys in this one as well, but it's a great cast. You got Danny Glover, Kevin Hart, Martin Lawrence, Tracy Morgan, Chris Rock, Zoe Saldana. Just a great cast overall. And then it's got Luke Wilson and James Marsden, which James Marsden, the character he plays, is the guy who gets dosed unexpectedly and is flipping out. So it's kind of a role that could be fucked up because you got to go a certain level, at least compared to the first one. The original, the guy that played that character was just amazing, I think, for that role. And no shade on James Marsden. I thought he was great as well. And he was just in a movie I saw recently, which I can't remember what it was that I just saw him in that I actually enjoyed, I believe, if I remember correctly. It was like a week ago, and I can't remember. But he's great in this. So I was overall happy. I was happy to watch this remake. One, it had been long enough time that, I'm not comparing. And it's not like I had watched the original Death at a Funeral a billion times. I have watched it multiple times back in like 2007, 2008 when I got it on DVD. And, around that time I didn't have cable. So the DVDs I had that was my selection of Netflix, which I had a big selection, but not what's available now through streaming services. But it was enough amount of time, little over 10 years, to where going to rewatch it, I remember the original, and I remember all the kind of the twists, and there's some things that I forgot that I was pleasantly surprised with. Like there's a scene. So there's one of the scenes while the funeral's just getting going. I mean, you need to go watch this movie. But there's some fun scenes in it. Like they're about to start the funeral procession, or not the procession, but the ceremony, the pastor is going to go start. I don't know. They're starting it off. I've only been to like one funeral, and I was really mentally not there at all. So I don't really know how they go. But in this one, James Marsden's character, because he's dosed with some shit, thinks that the coffin is moving and all hell breaks loose from that moment forward. It's really very much like, it's kind of like Meet the Fockers, where just everything's going wrong for like everybody, just like chaos ensues, and it's this funeral where chaos ensues and everything goes wrong. The corpse falls out of the coffin. The Danny Glover's character, the old man in the wheelchair, has to take a shit. But meanwhile, they're trying to hide a body that they think is dead. And they think that this person is the gay lover of the man that is dead in the coffin. And they're trying to, the guy came there to blackmail the family so they could get some of whatever was left in the will. And while they're trying to negotiate and trying to figure shit out, they end up, accidents happen, and Peter Dinklage ends up knocking himself out, and they think he's dead, and and then of course the dad has to go not the dad, but Danny Glover's character has to take a shit really bad, but the only bathroom downstairs is in the office where everybody's at with Peter Dinklage as he's knocked out, and they're trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. It's one of those scripts, I would say, that's so well written that having it be remade not really changed that much. I mean, the performances, they're definitely more true to the characters, that they're not pretending to be British people, but the actual story they didn't go around and change. Like Aladdin, the remake of Aladdin, they tweak so much stuff in it that it's just it's this weird uncanny valley of bullshit, where this one, it's still got all the same heart and all the same kind of complexity to the story as the original Death at a Funeral, but with a different set of actors, which I appreciated that as a remake. As remakes go, and as we live in an era where it's just all reboots and remakes and superhero movies and video game movies and nothing's really original, it's very difficult to have any kind of originality. This, as a remake, I put a pass on. I love the first one and I love this one. They're both really good. I would say the original is better just because it was the original, and I enjoy seeing British humor and performances. And I don't know, it has a level of smarminess that you do lose in the translation to the African American version of it, but nonetheless, great. I would almost want to revisit the original just to compare the Peter Dinklage performance, to see how much different the performances are in the original versus this one. And Luke Wilson's character in this one, I didn't like at all. He plays a character that's there, and his ex is there, and she is dating, that's Zoe Saldana, and she's dating James Marsden's character. So Luke Wilson plays this asshole guy that kind of wants to get her back. And I have a feeling that it's been a while, but I have a feeling the original played that character a little bit better. Whoever was in that role in the original movie, I think played that character a little bit better. With this one, it was just at no point did I ever feel like he went out with anybody, went out with her. And it didn't feel like you didn't have that stress knowing that he's there in that you got from the first one, where there's a stress when an ex comes to a gathering, a funeral. Talk about awkward. Somebody's bringing your ex that's not part of the family. He's just an ex of yours that's friends with somebody that's part of the family. And just an overall fun movie. Go watch it. It's streaming on some service right now. Death at a Funeral. I think maybe Amazon. But it's the 2010 remake. But you can't go wrong. If you find the original 2007, watch that one as well. I mean, you can't go wrong with either of them. Both funny movies, both kind of intricate, fun storytelling, and I enjoy it a lot. But that's it for this episode. New episodes of this show come out daily. Subscribe on IGTV and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week in advance over at patreon.com/Inspired Disorder. InspiredDisorder.com for all of my original artwork. Go buy some paintings now. Save 10% when you use coupon code INSPIRED. At Ray Taylor for me on all social media. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!